Thank you for keeping it tuned to your love music, love life station Smooth 98.1. We are right in the middle of the show. Freshly Pressed is what you're listening to on the Smooth Breakfast, where we take a look at the stories in the papers, the headlines, and the big talking points. We bring them to the fore. We get analysis as well as your thoughts and contributions as well. We look forward to always hearing from you. So you can do that by sending your messages in to us on WhatsApp. Keep up with us on the number 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 That is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on YouTube, where we'll be streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments in the chat box as usual. I'll take them with the WhatsApp messages as we kick things along. Joining me this morning to take a look at the stories and, of course, analyze what's going on, give us perspective. At the moment, Lakunle Yusuf is with me on the call. Good morning to you, Lakunle. Great to have you on the show.
One of the jungles of Nigeria where I am at the moment. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, everyone who's listening to this morning.
Great to have you join us, Lakunle. Even if you say you are in the jungle at the moment, it's great that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us on the show. Devoe should be joining us if his connection allows him to do so. But Lakunle is here, and yeah, let's get this show on the road. We'll be starting our journey this morning, Lakunle, talking about matters that have to do with education. We're going to head into the Punch newspaper, where the Minister of Education, Dr. Tujalausa, has said that the high failure rate in the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination is clear evidence that the government's anti-malpractice measures are yielding results, especially within the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board system. Now, his remarks come amid nationwide concern following JAM's release of the results showing that out of 1,955,069 candidates who sat for the 2025 exams, only 420,000 scored above 200, meaning more than 78% failed to meet the 200 mark threshold. I mean, looking at this comment made by the minister, it's it feels very, very lopsided to just make that assertion that, oh, just because the anti-malpractice measures were put in place, that is why there was a high rate of failure. I mean, shouldn't he be looking at deeper issues here, not just malpractice? Because it doesn't make sense to me.
Can you hear me?
When I yes, first saw the results.
Yes, we can hear you, Devoe. Welcome to the show.
Okay. When I first saw that comment, it was, I think it was one of the newspapers I saw it. I thought maybe it was misquoted. But the newspaper quoted that he said it on a TV. I'm worried, yes. Am I concerned? Yes, I am. 2 or 3 perspectives. So, are we saying cheating in the examinations is just is a recent phenomenon? Are we saying failures of examination is a recent phenomenon? One of my close friends that I'm close to, have been gracious enough to give us a breakdown of failure rates in these particularly UTME exams in the last 10, 15 years, and it has been progressively bad. Are we saying that, and since this, since the computer-based testing started, I think 2012 to date, and the failure rate had progressively increased. The worst was in 2021, the year after COVID, when only 21% of people who wrote the exam got 200 and above, or some numbers like that. And for a minister to say that it is because cheating is being caught, that's why the failure rate is high, then there's a bigger problem. There's a government, there's a regulatory authority that knows. It mentioned some miracle centers. So we know miracle centers exist. What have we done about them? Have we arrested people who are in charge of these things? Have we prosecuted parents who we claim are supporting these things? Have we prosecuted the owners of these places? If it is this big that is affecting our education this way, He also mentioned that about being a disincentive. I strongly disagree with that. Because some people cheat, it is disincentive to others, and that's why they all fail. I mean, I think that some of us we need to be circumspect about some of the things we say. The second perspective of this is this, that in trying to justify that, okay, cheating has been caught in UTMA, he threw the kitchen sink and everything in it at WAEC and NECO. Don't forget, if I have a child that wants to go to school abroad today, it and they need from her to be him or her to be admitted is a WAEC or NECO result. So for the Minister of Education to go out there and say that I cannot vouch for the integrity of these exams, the international education community will hear this and begin to doubt the quality of those exams. Don't forget, WAEC is not Nigerian only. WAEC is an international exam that has 5
It's
or
a West
6
African
countries.
exam. Yeah.
Yes, that's why it is WAEC, West African Examination Council, Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia, who else? I think there are 1 or 2 other countries in it. So you now castigated that examination body to say that you are not sure of the integrity of the exams that they conduct, and that this international education committee accepts to admit our children into their schools. So who is losing? I think we should be more circumspect about the way we defend the things we want to defend. Again, I'll say that I hope that the minister was misquoted. I have not listened to the TV interview.
Lakunle.
I hope he's been misquoted, and I hope that in saying all of this, failure is an indication to something else. The children are well taught. Do they understand what they have been taught? Is the quality of the teacher himself what it should be? The conditions of learning, does it accommodate, does it all go well for the children to be able to learn under the conditions? We see the kind of schools these children go to, particularly the public schools. We see them on TV every day when they show that there are no rules, they study under trees. Are those good conditions for children to learn? How many schools, though this one is a weak argument also, how many schools the children have access to computers that they use for this exam? I am one of those people who believe that a one-off exam is not enough test of a student's preparedness for a higher level of education. JAMB itself may not be a bad idea, but I think it is the way we are operating it that we need to review and change.
Yeah, can I add something here?
Yeah, sure, Devoe, quickly.
Okay, Lakunle, you know this is still the JAM under Professor Ishak Oloyede, who has been known to have turned around the institution, okay? So he's acknowledging that the miracle centers, the cheating and the malpractice existed and is even still existing in exams like WAEC and NECO. Now he's saying JAM is optimizing technology. So the transition that they've taken from paper-based exams to computer-based exams has now caught them. Just like in other aspects of Nigeria, that once you're...
Are you still with us, Devoe? Looks like
that I know where it's headed. I am not saying it is good to cheat. I am saying while you are defending what it has done, the cheating is not new. The failure rates have progressively increased since this CBT thing started. So, has it stopped people from
education
cheating?
That's no, not from cheating, from being able to pass the exams. Because what JAM has put in place with computer-based systems has now become a plug in the wheel for those who intended to cheat using old methods. So that's why he's speaking confidently. I have no doubts about what he's saying. Technology will always expose some gaps that were apparent using the manual system. We know this. I mean, even if you go to school, we know manual systems always
100%. I still maintain that technology
so both
and
private
cheating,
and public schools.
I cannot agree that it is because of technology and curbing cheating that the failure rate is high. I can never agree.
We
2
can
million
disagree.
people wrote an exam. 2 million. More than 78% did not get up to 200.
We can disagree.
Because they are cheating.
We can disagree to agree, gentlemen, or disagree to agree.
I stand with Professor.
I stand with
Professor Ishak Oloyede. I stand with Professor Ishak Oloyede.
It's okay, but I'm saying technology good, CBT test good, but that it is because we are curbing cheating. That's why 78% did not get up to 200.
We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Two things can be right at the same time.
No, are we saying 1.5 million people went to the exam with the mind to cheat, and that's why they did not pass?
They went with their mind to cheat, but realized
that 1.5 million
with
of
CBT.
2 million, 1.5 million went with the mind to cheat.
No, he's not saying. He's not saying that. He's not saying that is the major. He's saying it's a major reason, not the only reason.
It was quoted to say that CBT has curbed cheating, and that is why people failed. That was his statement.
You know, we can Lakunle, we can have this conversation for the whole day and not leave
exactly
and not leave here. So
the most important point of this is that in trying to justify this, he has now thrown Wyatt under the bus.
You know what?
Rightfully so. Let's move on.
Let's put a pause on this particular conversation. I mean, it's getting really heated, and I love it. But we need to talk about other things this morning. I wish we had more time to actually talk about that particular one. But Devoe, let's step into the vanguard this morning real quick, talking about matters that have to deal with the economy. Now, the Independent Media and Policy Initiative, that's IMPI, has sharply disagreed with the latest economic projections for Nigeria issued by the International Monetary Fund, that's the IMF, calling the fund's forecast, in quotes, an abuse of data aggregation and interpretation. Now, IMPI stance contained in a statement signed by Chairman Dr. Omoni M. Akinsiju highlights significant divergences between the IMF's outlook and what the group describes as the reality of the Nigerian economy, pointing instead to positive trends supported by local data and government reforms as well. We're back here again to the no, what you're saying is not the reality on ground, and what the reality on ground is not what you're saying, and so on and so forth. This whole denial and so on and so forth that we see in these instances. Devoe, what exactly is this back and forth all about here?
I'm going to try and make it simple because there are lots of numbers here that might confuse people. But basically, this
the reception, and I was so looking forward to hearing what. Okay, he's back.
Would I say? Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. You broke off for a second there.
This agency that I'm not sure where they came from. Yes, this agency came up to contradict IMF's projection on the Nigerian economy, and basically the IMF was saying that given the current status of things, that by next year. Inflation would increase as well as other levels of poverty and other economic indicators. But the agency, the IMPI, was saying that the IMF did not take into consideration some of the positive trends that were taking place in the country. And what they mentioned was some of the monetary exercises that have been done, the growth in food producing states, the reduction in food importation, removal of subsidies, and some of the actions that the government had taken, and the decrease in insecurity. But you see, some of these things that they've listed, we live in the country, and we know that it's not a true picture of things.
Right.
And the CBN only handles, even though they've done well, the CBN's monetary policy effectiveness is only about 20%. Whereas the fiscal authorities, which is the finance ministry, which handles the real economic, macroeconomic effect, has been poor in terms of what is Nigeria going to do to make money. As you can see in other indicators, apart from OPEC increasing oil outputs, because of the trade tariff war by America, Crude oil price has dropped from 75 to about $69. These are the real true images of what is going on in the country. There's rising insecurity. At the same time, power is almost non-existent in this country. So you can tell directly that both manufacturing companies, corporations, and even SMEs will struggle to produce going forward. Now, these are the issues that actually determine whether the economy is going to grow or not. So I'm not surprised that this administration has worked with various agencies to kind of paint a brighter picture for Nigeria, of which economics does not, in economics does not look at your face. Economics just tells you the hard facts. It's like reading the 10 Commandments, and then when you get to the part that says do not steal, you conveniently don't say it simply because you don't want anybody to hear. But that does not mean that you should not steal. So I urge governments to stop looking for ways to wash their images, ways to motivate Nigerians, and do the hard work. Take the necessary steps to take the little that we make from oil and gas and invest into areas of societal production like transportation, education, health, what do you call it, energy. By now, even though the president is trying to resolve the 4 trillion debt in the power generation sector, he should have called the state of emergency by now so that we can address some of these issues. There's no point trying to wind or wash your way out of it. Putting your head inside the ground like an ostrich will not change the hard facts of Nigeria's reality.
All right, Devoe, thank you for sharing those thoughts. Sticking our heads in the ground like an ostrich doesn't change anything. The problems don't go away. They just multiply. Let me take a message or two before I come back to you, Lakunle. Fidelis says, he's in trouble. He says, are we ashamed at all? The fact that the minister is accepting is that the fact the minister is accepting that our educational standard is falling already. Why do people cheat? Is it not because the standard is failing? Instead of him to cover his face in shame and find a better way or a way to better the standards, he's just praising the process. Like, only how many of our students at that level are computer literate and can afford computers and internet to practice with? Shame on them. All right, thank you for your thoughts there. This is Sunday in Surrey. He says, the Minister of Education is just catching crews. I think it's honorable to admit when things are not going well, rather than this comedy show he's trying to sell tickets for. We are not buying it. What a shame. All right, let's get back into the stories here, Lakunle. Let's step into the Daily Trust, a disturbing one, but one that is not new as far as I'm concerned. Now, it says at least 1 million children in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states are at risk of severe acute malnutrition in 2025. That's double the number in 2024. Now, of these children, over 600,000 are at risk of SAM, that's severe acute malnutrition, over the next 6 months. Without access to life-saving nutrition services, they may die. Now, an estimated 4.6 million people in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states are also projected to face acute food insecurity during the lean season starting in June, according to the government-led CADA Harmony's food security analysis results released in March of 2025. And just to put a lid on it from my end, this marks the 6th consecutive year of these severe conditions.
As Devoe has said about the agency who was disputing the World Bank figures about Nigeria just now. So the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction is actually acknowledging this statement by this agency that gave us this report as well. So how then is the agency that was disputing the World Bank figure picking their own figures from? If the 3 states of the 6 in the northeast region of Nigeria has suffered acute malnutrition in 4.6 million people in 1 year, and it is projected that it has happened for the past 5 years. So that is 6 consecutive years. So you can begin to see the reality against what people are projecting for us to believe. Okay, having said that, now my fear is this. This is the 15th or 16th year of continuous insecurity and whatever, what else would I want to call it, in that part of Nigeria. And repeatedly every year, everybody pays lip service to solving this problem. There are Nigerians who live in what we now proudly label IDP camps. Nigerians who are displaced in their own country, who don't have homes, who live in tents. So you would then expect that nutrition issues, other health issues will happen in those camps. Occasionally, you see NGOs, governments remember them, go there to go and give them bags of rice, plastic bucket, plastic tanks, and so on and so forth, to turn them over for the next few months. Then after that, for another 1 or 2 years, you don't hear anything until something else happens. Now, the minister is saying that they are raising a fund about 159 million US dollars in conjunction with United Nations to solve this problem over the next 6 months. Because between now and from June to the end of the year, the severe acute malnutrition might kick in again this year, and those 4.6 million people are at risk. If we look at the population of those 3 states, Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe, I'm not sure that they are up to 20 million put together. So if 4.6 million people in that part of the country alone are at this risk, that's like 20 to 22% of the total number of people in that place. Then you start to ask yourself, when we complain that people leave some states to go to the other states, it is because the states where they are, they cannot survive there. That's why they take all the risk and the chance to go to other states and be homeless and sleep on the road and either do menial works or beg or whatever. And this is a result of something like that. Again, one of the questions that I always ask is, what are our governors doing? What are they doing with all the monies that they flout in our faces? IGR this, IGR that, fact this, fact that. What are they doing with those monies? What is the federal government doing? Because, of course, federal government is the one that is responsible for our internal and external security. How are we solving that problem? It's been 15 years. Are we turning the defense industry in Nigeria into another milk cow? We just spend money, and we're not seeing any result. Well, you see, there's so many questions to ask. When you start to query these things, you go beyond even the people that are about to suffer. Devoe is one of those states that I think the last time I checked, they didn't even have up to 100 medical doctors for the whole state. For perspective, Borno State is about 2, 3 times or 4 times the size of Ogun State in terms of land mass. So imagine how much 100 people can cover in terms of number of people that need access to medical whatever. Yeah.
Lakunle, let me just ask you this, because of time, we need to wrap up on this particular issue. In a nutshell, looking at the numbers and what's going on in those 3 states, how worried or how concerned should the rest of Nigeria be? We say, oh, it's in the northeast, it's in the northeast, and so on. It doesn't concern us. But how concerned should we be as a collective?
For those of us who live in other states, we see the number of people who coming from those parts of Nigeria into our state, that different states daily. They are coming to put pressure on what is here. Meanwhile, the problem they left behind subsists. I can tell you for free that the ones who are left behind in those places are those who have resigned to faith. You don't want to take chance going somewhere else. The ones who have not resigned to faith are the ones you see coming here. The other group who are not living are those ones who are benefiting from the rot that is going on in that place. And that's why we have it. So there are 3 categories who are designed to pay that, okay, so whatever happens. Those who want to take a chance, and those who are benefiting from the dysfunction. And the effect of it on all the rest of us is that we will now begin to share what is meant for 3 people with 6 people by the time all of them arrive where we are. And we need to solve this problem.
Yes, indeed, we need to solve this problem. Lakunle, it's a huge one. We can say it doesn't concern us, but in reality, what affects the eyes, as they say, affects the nose as well. All right. Let's Devoe, let's step into this story here now. This one, I want to tie it into another story. So you and Lakunle are going to share your thoughts on this one as quickly as we can because of time. This has to do with security matters, and it's coming out of the Punch newspaper. Now, it says that retired military generals have again called on the federal government to urgently equip the Nigerian armed forces amid growing concerns over the resurgence of terrorist attacks and killings in the Northeast. Now, this comes as the House of Representatives on Tuesday expressed deep concern over a recent deadly attack on a military facility in Giwa, Borno State, describing the incident as a glaring indicator that Boko Haram insurgents are better armed than the military. This is an open secret. We all know this. We've been singing it for years. But now the issue is the ex-generals are demanding for better armament. What happened to the billions and billions that have been allocated to the defense and procurement of arms and so on and so forth? If you're asking for more, what happened to what was put out to procure arms beforehand? You're muted, Devoe.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I really wonder where this narrative is coming from because the ex-generals are saying that it's no longer rhetoric, that the ragtag militants, militias, insurgents, bandits, whatever you call them, terrorists, that they're now highly equipped with access to encrypted communication, drone surveillance, night vision devices, GPS-guided explosives, and coordinated strike systems. If they're telling us that this is the level Boko Haram is operating, I can assure you that government has a hand in this. What was Nigeria doing for the terrorists to become so powerful? I don't believe it because once again, the billions that have gone into defense, even with increase coming from the last administration, like you mentioned, 11 Tucano jets were bought, helicopters, fighter jets, MRAPs, even what do you call it? All manner of expenditure up to the tune of 3 trillion. This last budget, defense spending went up to about 4.5 trillion. Right now, we can't show where all that money has gone to. But what I must say is this. The generals did say that they need to equip the field officers on the ground, which I agree to. But as long as we don't get intelligence, it's not just about buying equipment. An asymmetrical war is not about just going to fight it on a kinetic basis. You need intelligence. We seem not to have the necessary intelligence. One, to confirm the movement of these ragtag soldiers that move around in Okadas. We seem not to have the intelligence to confirm the sponsors who move money and keep these insurgents funded. We seem not to have the intelligence. We always come up with excuses that people are coming from outside the country to attack us in Nigeria. This narrative needs to die. This narrative, I know clearly, is a lie. All politics is local. All insecurity is local. We need to start exposing those of us who are involved in these things because we cannot go on 20 years fighting ghosts. AY, till date, has the military or has the police or has the security forces giving you names of those behind insurgency? Come on, Nigeria.
I'm still waiting as well.
In other countries, you know Al-Shabaab, you know their leaders. In other countries, you have ISWAP, you know their leaders. In other
We know
countries, you have
here, but he's a ghost.
But our own insurgents, we don't know who they are. They have no names, no identity. Yet they keep telling us that anytime they are caught, somebody sends a signal from Abuja and they're released. Who is that person that is sending those signals? We have to stop this. We must stop it.
We definitely must stop it. Lakunle, just in about 30 seconds, because time has actually flown by, I just wanted to, get your thoughts on this. Now, just drag in this issue of the Senate wanting to hold a national security summit amid the rising insecurity. Is this what we're supposed to be doing at this point in time? Very quickly, Lakunle, just 30 seconds.
Have a national security summit. And as far as we continue like this, it will not be the last time we would have it. The Senate has agreed to a 2-day national security summit. We're going to invite the top brass of the military, the police, even the retired generals that are making the calls for one thing. Everybody is going to be there. There will be a communique at the end of it. And just like the ones before it, it will rest on a shelf. I think like as we begin to doubt the sincerity of government on resolving this matter, just like Devoe said that government has a hand in it. Many Nigerians are beginning to be swayed by this argument. That I mean, how is it comfortable for any government at all for almost 20 years now? How is it comfortable for any government at all in the country that your citizens are being killed at random by insurgents, by terrorists, and you feel comfortable about it? And all we do is talk. We know people that their children who are children in the military who have died while defending the country. How do those people feel today? We know people who have lost means of livelihood. We know people that have paid ransom for their kidnapped loved ones. And the monies came from their pockets, from their friends and family. And government is not helping us to find a solution to this problem. Just like everything else that Nigerians resort to self-help. And I hope that this does not become of this matter, because if that happens, then we would have anarchy and total chaos that nobody will be able to cope with, nobody will be able to control. And I just pray and I beg government today, this is a public service assignment from me, to for a moment reflect and say, if it was my child that was in the army that was killed, how would I feel? Let them think about that of parents who have lost children defending this country and act as appropriate.
All right. Thank you, Lakunle. Let me take your messages. Let me run through them real quick. First of all, from YouTube, AB joining the call this morning. AB says it's implausible that 75% plus people failed because they wanted to cheat. Mr. Lakunle provided many possible reasons that may have contributed to the failure rate, all of which should be investigated. And Habib says, if someone explains Nigeria to you and somehow you understand that explanation, then that person did not do a good job at all. All right. Let me go into WhatsApp. Cisco Delgado says, if the federal government is very serious about fighting insurgency in Nigeria, a lot of us who are tech savvy can contribute to it using our technological skills and knowledge. And it's like only they said action is better than words. Let the federal government take decisive action. Simple. All right. King Joe says, we have intelligence, but we are not ready to end insecurity because it's like government is making money from it. Else, how are they getting who sends messages on X? I mean, they can find you very easily, but when it comes to security matters, they go bird box. Oluwaseyi says, the Nigerian industry war machine has been sucking this country dry for almost 2 decades. What more do they want? Who are these defense contractors and where are the Tucanos, the Chinese drones and so on? Something is wrong somewhere. What do they want? All of our GDP? Men on pickup trucks and Okadas defeating the Nigerian army all this while? Come on. Okay. Emeka says, I recalled an exam we wrote during my undergraduate days in University of Benin. The massive failure in that exam resulted in deep reflection on teaching methods and review of the curriculum. Stopping cheating should not be something to be boasting about. All right, JJ says, these stories are just disturbing. Someone will say that Nigerians are worse off now than in 1960, and the presidency is disputing it. See, Nigerians are the natural disasters in this country. Let me just take this one. This is Gilbert Musa, who says, on the recent disappointing results from JAM, we need to go back to 1967 through the years to 75 during Yakubu Gowon's governance or his administration, where public schools gave top-notch education and upgraded the model. This is one of the solutions to our fragile education in Nigeria. All right, we need to call it a morning. Thank you for all the messages. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Devoe and Lakunle, for taking out the time to join me on the show.
All right.
For having me. Thank you for the opportunity to express my thoughts about national issues. Devoe, good to hear from you again this week. See you.
All right, Devoe, be safe as you journey along. And Lagos, thank you for keeping it tuned. Don't go anywhere. We're going to get into the locker room at 8:15. After that great game of football on the Champions League last night, Tega and I will take a look at all that and so much more. Don't go anywhere.
The story.